Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I think we have more viewers tuning in today because it is a holiday. Happy President's Day to everyone. So please, if you have a question for me, call in. I'm sitting here, 888-994-4997. Oh my gosh, that's the spirits are taking over right now. Can you believe it? That was fast. Look forward to hearing from you. So give me a call. I'm here. The topic today is if we have memories of past lives. Now, we may not know exactly that it's a memory, actually, as I said that, but if you see something or a reoccurring dream, possibly it's from another lifetime. So this is going to be the topic today. Open for questions.
I have one for you.
Great. Hi, Freddie.
How are you?
Good.
I've always dreamt that I was a soldier in another life. I can actually smell what a foxhole smells like. You ever play sports and you have that wet green grass smell and mud and stuff? So I guess when I was playing football in Puerto Rico, it smelled like that all the time. I couldn't stand it.
Okay, that's a very good way to open the show, because for me, what I'm feeling, that's definitely from a previous lifetime.
I was a soldier?
Yeah, we've been many different things. I actually, and you know about this, Steve, I saw someone I did not know, but actually at that time Aldo was around, but I saw a red coat, and I didn't even know, and I'm English, so I don't believe that was me, but someone was showing themselves to me that was a red coat, because I was watching Outlander, actually, and I said, oh, I saw that. So
it's like you see like war pictures, or you see things that happen, and you end up daydreaming about occurrences. But I never dreamt it. I never dreamt it in a sleep. I've dreamt it daydreaming, or I don't know, they call that déjà vu, that you see something.
Well, that's even
flashes.
in a way for yourself, perhaps a little even more real than a dream would be, because we do dream, but we get flashbacks from these things. But if it's like a daydream, that's something that you're conscious of dreaming. So I feel of a dream. I feel that that was definitely from a previous life. We've had many lives, Freddie, many lives. I was surprised, 25, 30 years ago, I did not believe any of this. And then I opened a book called, if any of our viewers probably know, Out on the Limb with Shirley MacLaine. And she was coming out with all this. And, she was criticized a lot. She had a lot to lose. But she was determined to bring it forward. And I give that lady a lot of credit in those days to do that. And also Brian Weiss, who was a psychiatrist, and he took people back, if they had things wrong with them through previous lifetimes,
past
pain,
life regression.
And these people came out many years ago, going back to at least 20, 30 years ago, and they had a lot to lose. I mean, I'm just sitting here on the program here, but still, it's I'm sure people were ridiculed in those days, but today more and more people are definitely opening up, and we get many clues along the way with this.
Yes. You and I have often said that we thought we were together in the entertainment field around the turn of the century, of the vaudeville days, and something that tends to lead me to believe that was so. When we go to a Broadway play or musical or whatnot, I tend to get very emotional.
Yeah, I know. And I actually believe, and Freddie may not know this, but I know Dawn does, that we were all together in another lifetime in that time, in show business of some kind. Absolutely. You know that, Dawn. We were, for sure, I'm sure. Moulin Rouge, right? Ring a little bell. Ting-a-ling-a-ling.
Always.
So we get little clues along the way, and you have shared experiences. And those shared experiences, that's what it's coming to me right now. I mean, what we do here, we're in another life, we might be sitting in a studio again, and I'll suddenly say the word shared experiences if it's the four of us. Because we actually definitely do meet up with people that we have known in previous lifetimes. Because we have like what we call a soul family. So people, we just change costumes basically, and we're somebody else, you know.
Other than being hypnotized or taking into a deep past life regression, is there any simpler way to kind of figure out what you might have been, where you might have been at previous times
Yeah,
in your
meet
life?
someone like Aldo because he knew me. Yes, absolutely. There are, because I was drawing from previous lives. So, I mean, to me, my memory, I couldn't deny that, because I know that I didn't see these things in this lifetime, and yet I'm drawing, you know, buildings and things. And then Aldo, my friend, came to me, and he never led me into it, because I think for anybody that's listening, it's better that you know, you find out. Well, for me it was, because he was in front of me, but if I asked him questions from another lifetime, he gave me answers only when I asked. So for me, I guess I was very fortunate in that way to be able to, there was no way I could deny it. And I didn't. I was not a full believer at that point. I believed, but not like I do today. As many people will say now. More and more people are understanding that.
But why do you think? Because think about your past life, the one of royalty,
Right.
to where you are now,
Ah, you said it.
right?
Yeah.
Why? It's like, why do we have those lives, and then why do we come back as who we are now?
Okay,
If we
that's
don't remember the lesson of what it was.
That's really good, because mine was, it was a royal, some type of royalty. I don't,
Right.
yeah. But Aldo told me after that, I was so fed up with the responsibilities of that entailed. I came back into other lifetimes after that. Everything that I had learned was dormant. In other words, I had no memory of it in the other lifetimes after that. It's only in this lifetime where this man came to see me. I mean, he knew who I was and recognized me, that I began to open up, because he, you know, it sounds crazy, but some people can tell what's going on, telepathy, and he said to me he knew I was ready, and yet he never ever came up to me, and I've mentioned this before, for over a year of knowing me until I opened up. So to me that was tremendous for me, you know, it was very, very amazing validation. So
Do you feel like knowing you had a past life, there's more, too much is given, much is required? Do you feel you have a greater responsibility that you know your past life in this life to deliver whatever message it is you're supposed to deliver?
I do, because I feel like I'm passing it forward, because that's what he did for me. And you'll only remember, this is what his words were to me, we've all had many lifetimes. I believe that was a lifetime to remember, because we were all in, well, I'm not sure if Freddie and but we were definitely in that lifetime, and you get little pictures of it, I think, too, Dawn. So we've had so many, and it wouldn't necessarily serve a purpose to remember a lifetime if it was something that was nothing to do with this lifetime. But if it was a lifetime that was relevant, or a lesson that you needed to learn again and that you hadn't quite finished, or a person, a place, or a thing, you'll bring it into this lifetime. So if you're more aware of it, yes, it's a very big advantage to know that what you had done previously, basically. And I feel very, very grateful that I have some memories of that. Probably repeating the same mistakes, I'm sure I am. But
So why do you suppose when the subject comes up, if you get a group of people that are willing to talk about it, one will inadvertently say, well, I was Cleopatra, or I was Leonardo da Vinci.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I also said to you, a lot of people say they were Cleopatra. And, I'm not saying everybody is accurate who they are, but that is a point. A lot of people do not say who I was, although I was a well-known figure. So that's even more genuine to me, because I wouldn't necessarily make up who I was.
You remember Lynn and Louise had a past life, so
Yes,
he was
they
a
did.
king and she was his seamstress.
Yes, they did.
Which is so fascinating. So she didn't come back as royalty, like she wasn't. She knew she was his seamstress.
And don't you find that strange that we've all met up here in the cafe, because they were both here?
Yes.
What I find strange is that I've met 15,000 Cleopatras.
Well, this is true. That's what
Not
I'm
everybody
saying.
can be Cleopatra.
No, but they might have. What do they call those things we were talking?
Deja vu?
No, when you're somebody and you can be some
Doppelganger.
doppelganger. Yes.
Doppelganger.
Yes, it's possible.
that's
But
only
you know
look.
what? I have it's funny for me, because I know who. Well, I'm 99% certain I was this person. What if I meet her in the other, in the other life, and I wasn't her?
Just call you an imposter.
Yes, to make light of this.
I just don't understand why people think they were.
Well, she was a well-known figure, and maybe people imagine, or maybe they've studied. You know, there could be this reason that you've studied in history many people, and you study it, and it's still in your subconscious, so you think that's who you were. I had a little more validation of the lifetime who I was, because someone who knew me from that lifetime, I mean, I even described the rooms where I was, and he's described, I knew what I saw, and I asked Aldo where was the dressing table or whatever, and he would tell me, and it was the place that I knew I saw it. So.
All right, so here's a question. All right. From Melissa from Sedona asks, I've always had dreams and I am a healer in another time, working with herbs and energy. Could these be memories of a past life?
Yes, absolutely. And many people that go for regression, they do carry, they say that, because I sometimes watch programs, you know, on people that are being regressed, and they continue in another life in their, you know, especially as a healer. I think once, I'm not for certain for sure, but if you're a healer, you'll normally carry that through into other lifetimes too. So you can be regressed into this. No, I think I got off the question.
No, you were right.
Oh,
so if that, the follow-up is, if she was a healer, how might that manifest into now her purpose, her calling?
The fact that she's aware that she was a healer, yes, absolutely, because I think she gave herself that message to know that she can do this, because we choose professions and we really don't know how, why. I mean, you see these kids today, especially on American Idol and, you know, wherever they are, and they're amazing at 5, 6 years old. So that goes also into healers, not just necessarily entertainment. Where do these kids get these voices from too?
And it could just be your essence of being.
Yes, absolutely. A beam of light, we were saying. Yes.
Beings of light,
Beings of
exactly.
light. Yes, it is, because I think and that was another question. I mean, my spirits would give me the answer, but Aldo, he used to say to me, we don't always lose our basic personality. It is there, but we adjust it to what we are in another lifetime, because we could be something totally different in one lifetime. But it is there. I think it's in your being, in what we choose.
It's funny because my sister and I, if we both have a headache, I might take salt and a magnesium in a big glass of water, where she's going to take a pain pill.
Yeah.
But yet we grew up in the same household.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that something about my past life, I know there's certain holistic remedies that for me work better than other things.
Because you have memory. It's like you restart your memory a little bit.
It's like, it's more of a feel, like I just
You
know
know, well,
there's
that's how
another
you-
way, another
exactly.
path for me.
Because that would be the validation. It is a feeling. You feel that you've seen that before, or you feel you smell something.
Or like at ease, I guess, with it.
Yes, because you can smell something, but you know you've smelled it before, distinct smell, but you're not sure where. And I mean, it could be from this lifetime, but
Like
it
you've got the
stays in your
foxhole.
being. It stays in your being,
I can
which
smell
you
it,
said.
yes.
There you go. You
I can smell it.
absolutely.
It's more than once that it occurs. It's just funny when it occurs. I could be in the middle of a conversation and I smell it, and I don't understand why.
Because you're getting, it's like a crossover into this lifetime. It could be a person there that you knew from that other lifetime. You're not aware of it. That's triggering your memory to go into that lifetime. And then if that's where you spent a lot of time and you recognize the smell, you're going to smell it. That was, I think they just told me to tell you that. You could be on your own, but it could be a surrounding somewhere that's going to just click in the memory.
I heard, or I saw a movie or something where a cop was shot at, and it hit the badge and stopped the bullet, which I don't see that being possible, but it did. And he lived, and the other guy says, why didn't you die? He says, I did, but not this life. It's in my other dimension.
Right. And
So maybe I'm a soldier in another dimension.
we come back also sometimes with similar scars, because this has been proven in, you know, when people have gone back into hypnotherapy and they recall their previous lives, and they can look that person up who they were that they've recalled, and they'll say, oh my gosh, I have that scar, or they were in a battle of some kind. They'll have the remnants of that. So yes, this is all being proven by
Well,
many,
then
many people
I'm gonna
today.
lay one on you that's really
Okay.
strange. Okay, so you ever notice that in present company included, Steve came out and he had cancer in his jaw, right? In the jaw and the tongue. Okay. And it healed. My question then is, if we're living all these other lives in other dimensions, if somebody gets sick, does it happen in this dimension?
Okay.
And then is the measuring stick healing mean that the person survived in the other life? Or if it's an illness that's going to end your life in this dimension, did they die in that dimension?
Yeah, and that's a good question with a lot of answers that you can give for that, because we choose our lifetimes, Freddie. We know what's going to happen. And maybe, you know, especially with illness, people say, well, why would they have chosen that illness? But we do that. I mean, you know, kids come in sometimes and they don't survive. They're here for a year. But there is purpose and meaning to whatever we do, whether it's left over from another lifetime or it's here to teach the parents something of that, you know, that sorrow, of that love that you had for that baby. They may have been very, I'm just using this as an example, in another lifetime, very not caring. And so you're going to feel that feeling of remorse, of death, of whatever it. We choose everything. Nothing here that, but then again, we have free will, which we talk about too. Don't always have to follow exactly what we chose, but it is planned out. We have free will.
So if we die in this dimension, do we go live in another dimension?
Yes.
And can you still see this dimension from that dimension?
Yes, because how am I hearing all these things? They're around us, but we lift up.
Yeah, but you're alive in this dimension. You're going in that direction.
Yes, but what we do, everything is around. I once, many years ago, and I don't know why, I was on the freeway and I had to call my friend Marita. Sometimes she watches the show and she knows that I did this. I called her and said, Marita, and I was very new into doing all this, we don't go anywhere, because I got those so loud in my mind. And then when I think about it today, if you raise your vibration, which is through positivity, you don't want to lower it, through anger will lower it, many things will lower it, but if you can raise and begin to learn to do that, you're going to see much more than someone else sees here. And you actually do see things that other people are not seeing because they've put themselves into a lower vibrational energy and they just don't see it. Having said that, people that are on a higher dimension and you can talk to, if you raise yours, sometimes they have to come down a little bit to be in contact with us on another dimension. It's dimensions, actually. It's frequencies. We're energy. So if you think about it, if you're raising your energy, you can do more things. We have more energy. That just came to me. But I don't know. But
well, you brought up free will a moment ago. I'd like to get back into that for just a second. We watched a movie over the weekend called The Adjustment Bureau from 2011. And it was about our lives being pre-planned and controlled throughout. And at the very end, they talk about free will, and it was so poignant what they said at the end that I wrote it down.
Yes, you did.
Free will is a gift, and we won't know how to use it until we have to fight for it.
That's great.
I just thought that was so profound.
It was.
Could you maybe expand on?
Yes, because it's a gift that this planet, I'm going to say, because we have free will on our planet here, and we take a lot of that for granted, that we can do these things, and it's hard to describe it, but we have free will. But then again, because we have the free will to go and change our mind and to do these things, our helpers, let's get back to the aliens right now that want to help us, can't really intervene with us because we have that free will. But if we give permission, then they can. So it encompasses a lot of things, free will, actually. But we have it here. And you hear people, we watch the end of The Devil's Advocate, right? Yes. And they mention free will.
Interesting. All right, ready for another question?
Yes.
Rosa from Miami. I have an unexplained fear of water, but nothing traumatic ever happened to me. Could this be from a past life?
Yes, and this has also been documented by many people that have been drowned in previous lives. And in this particular lifetime, I think they go to people for the regressions to get over that fear. And most, I would say nearly all the time, they'll find that they drowned in a previous life. Or, you know, I have a fear of, I used to always, of loud bangs like a gun. I just, you know, had a tremendous fear of that. So I'm sure if I was taken back, there was on a battlefield of some kind when they had guns at that point. But yes, there's always reasons for these
Or
things.
like the beginning of your movie when you talked about the war in London.
That is true. I was born right in the middle of an air raid. That
Right, so-
figures, right?
How
I had
does-
free will. I didn't have to do that.
So you think past life regressions would help her?
Absolutely. I recommend that. I want to go myself, actually. I was regressed one time, but there are many people. Look up a qualified person that does past life regressions, and I believe to any of the viewers that are intrigued and interested in that, and maybe borderline not necessarily believing it, go and look up someone, and they'll take you back through hypnosis to other lifetimes. That's how Brian Weiss became, who was a psychiatrist. His book, Many Masters, Many Lives, I believe it was called, was taking people, which he was just hypnotizing them for this lifetime to find out why they have a pain or whatever they wanted to find out. But what he discovered is that they were going back into other lifetimes. He didn't know anything about this at that time. It's in his book. But then, sure enough, today he's one of the biggest people, I think, in the field to discuss that.
You think people that are claustrophobic, things
Yeah.
like that, maybe, I don't know, buried alive, kind of creepy. Why would I
Absolutely.
even say that?
No, because it's good because, I mean, it's not good, obviously, but it's good because they can get over that fear, because if you understand why you have that fear, then you have a chance to get over it. I hate spiders. I mean, I don't like roaches, and here I'm eating a lobster last night. Think about it.
Please don't
I mean,
equate
there's no
roaches to lobster.
No, but
I was
It-
just going to ask, how do they equate?
Because I'm eating something that's big with eyes, and yet I'm scared of a little roach.
And
How
all the
is that
little legs.
possible? Huh?
Oh, I see.
That's the reason I'm saying that. Because why would I be scared? I mean, it's ridiculous. Maybe I was in I don't know. But it doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
But
then let me ask you another question. If we are living simultaneously through 5 dimensions, 4, 3, 2, whatever.
there's 9, I believe.
9, okay.
So-
Are we human species in all 9 of them?
No, I think if it's similar, if it's running parallel with this one, yes. But there are other dimensions where we don't necessarily look human, that people come in. But I think the ones that run along with ours, because it's a parallel. So, but we're not, we're very different, but I think maybe we look alike. I am not certain about that, and they're not actually, they're going like this. But I think so, we're humans. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just getting a picture of them going like this, saying, I think I'm right. I mean, I have to have help with this. They're helping me. I don't know all these questions and answers.
Well, this one you're going to love. We've talked about this before. David from Austin, Texas. I met someone recently that felt like I've known her forever. Is it possible we share a past life? And you're going to say yes. So what's the difference between soulmate, a twin flame, and a karmic partner?
Okay. A soulmate, because we come down with our soul families. So a soulmate, not a soul,
Not a twin flame?
not a twin flame, yeah. A soulmate is a member of our tribe, so to speak. We can have many people, we call it a soul family, that we choose to incarnate with. There are many of our soul family that we do not choose to have every lifetime with, who stay there to help us. So, and I believe we add to that too. We're not just with the same people the more we go around. I mean, I might meet someone from this lifetime now and say, hey, come on, we're going up the road, you're going to be in my soul family. So it's not, but the people that we're with stay with us as far as I know. Now, a twin flame is also, we can call that a soul, you've met your soulmate. Well, it's not quite the same. A soul family and a soulmate. You can meet your other half, so to speak. I think you've had many lifetimes with. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Many people say, well, I met my soulmate in this lifetime and we do not get along. But there's reasons. You incarnate maybe possibly they're saying with the same person many, many times.
So using us as an example, we met for the first time in 2000.
I don't know if we should go there, Steve. I'm just kidding. I'm joking with you. Go ahead, please. No, go ahead, please. I was making a fun joke. Okay.
Well, I'm glad you think it was fun. No, I'm just kidding. So we came together for the first time as friends and
Right.
co-workers in 2000. Then we came together again in 2012.
Right.
When we tried dating for a while.
Right.
And then we met again in 2022, and here we are today, married 3 years and 4 years into this relationship. So, did we come down with, are we soul family?
Well,
we
figure
destined
that
to
out.
happen?
I would think so, yes, because it's the same as what we've had the studio here where I kept coming back when I could have come back. You know, I was invited to the studio, didn't come. If it's repetitive, which ours was, and a similar, different situation, but coming into the studio too, if you find something repetitive with somebody or you keep bumping into them even, I think possibly it's making you think, well, there's a reason why we're doing this so many times. I never knew that I was going to meet you again when we worked together, and I went and worked in St. Martin. I didn't have any feelings that we were going to get back to work even in the same place anymore. But it happened. It's not something that we planned particularly. We planned it, but we don't know we planned it.
We didn't go looking for one another.
Exactly, thank you, yeah.
It's part of the learning experience, isn't
It's
it?
all part of the learning experience. And, you know, it can be a comfortable situation, it can be an uncomfortable situation. Not every situation goes the right way, but we're here to learn. So I'm not talking about our personal situation, of course, but people can be in or meet people that they don't like, but they keep repeating and meeting that person for karma, to work that out. Because if you don't work it out, you may not do it in the next lifetime, but I'm pretty 100% certain you're in the end going to
So you
work
can
it
meet
out.
somebody and you and that person make absolutely no sense,
Right.
but it works because it doesn't.
Well, there's a reason for it. So once you know that don't people make the same mistakes over and over again? And it can be with
That's called madness.
a different person. There's these relationships because people can identify to that. If you go into a relationship and there's something that's going on in that relationship that is not what you wanted to be in, you can leave that relationship. But if you don't settle it, it might not be with the same person, but you will meet somebody else with a similar situation. It's not the same situation, but whatever bothered you in that, I mean, it's not in stone that this is going to happen because it might not be in this lifetime. But very often people will say, they're doing exactly the same as it happened in the last relationship. So what it's doing is giving you an opportunity to look at that situation, good or bad, it doesn't matter.
Well, who would say that?
Say what?
What you just said. Who would say that it doesn't work out past? Nobody knows it.
But if you don't give yourself that opportunity to get back, we give ourselves opportunities to work that situation out. We actually, and bring it back to free will too, we choose everything we do. I am absolutely certain.
So
of
the
that.
present situation is put upon us to learn the lesson.
Yes, 100% in my world. Yes, absolutely.
That could be very interesting.
And you know, it can be interesting because if you're not, it's better to figure it out. And I say this in this lifetime with that person, place, or whatever it is.
Gotcha.
Because you could say to yourself, it's going to happen again in another lifetime.
Gotcha. Okay.
But do you think, you're not going to like this question, that's the physical body as the human side of what we do. But this energy, shifting, karma, free will, soul families, don't you feel there's a higher calling to that? A higher energy than a physical flesh and blood human sitting here?
Why? Absolutely, because you know what? When we go to another dimension, when we've transitioned from here, we take a look at our life, Dawn. When we see certain things in our life, we don't have the same sensation that we had here. We'll look at it as a learning experience. Oh, I should have done it that way, or I should have done it that way. It's actually quite simple when you begin to put it together, because you have that opportunity. And if, when you want to come back, you say to yourself, well, most of us do want to come back to settle it. I need to settle that situation because I don't like the way it turned out in this lifetime. Because you're looking at it, but you're looking at it from a different perspective. You're looking at it, you know, people say, well, you're judged by this. But actually, we judge ourselves. And at that point, you're in a different time and space and another direct. So you see it in a different point of view. And the best thing, which I actually have told people, and Aldo used to say that to me, you can still do it in this lifetime while you're here and you're aware of it. Because he used to always say to me, observe what's happening, step away from it and look at that with no feelings, just looking at it. That's all we do when we transition. You can do it here and you can figure it out, because if you're in a situation completely and you're angry or whatever feelings you've got, you're not having the same perspective as observing that. So take a step back, because many people say, oh, this situation, whatever it is, it's driving me crazy. Well, try and figure it out here, because you will have to figure it out sooner or later.
All right, and before we go to break, if you wish to get Sally's book, Call Me Zena, you can scan the QR code or go to Amazon, and it's Call Me Zena or Author House.
So we're coming back in a minute.
Yep.
Don't go anywhere. We're coming back. See you on the other side of this show.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and a grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail on how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com, or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show.
Hi, welcome back to my show. We were having we continued discussing in the break, actually, which was kind of interesting.
So Tracy's watching.
Hi, Tracy.
So she says, hi, gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Don't you find that interesting? The physical, flesh and bone versus spirit, emotional, 2 separate things.
It's like you're when we're here, we're too engrossed in the situation.
True.
When you're watching a movie, you can pause it, because we can do that now with our technology,
Sure.
right? And we can say, yeah, let me listen to that again. And you have time to think it over. Basically, what you're doing is you're giving yourself that opportunity after you've left here to be able to do that. But very often, when you see it a different way, how are you going to learn again if you don't repeat it? So you come back, it may not be the same person, but we do it here, trying to learn, but we don't know. We just say, we made another silly mistake. But there's a reason sometimes for that silly mistake. You don't get it the first, second, or
Are we learning about ourselves, or are we learning about other situations? Are we learning about all of it? Relationships?
You're learning for yourself. We're all here, we're all one, but I'm not going to get into that. But we're learning at this point for our journey. And it could be the journey with somebody else, because we travel this journey with people that come into your life.
But don't you want to learn also a journey about yourself, about
Well,
how
no,
you
it's
handle,
primarily for ourselves, yes.
how you handle situations?
That's what it's all about, Freddie. That's what I'm trying to explain, because it's for ourselves, so that we don't necessarily repeat that same situation. Because
Gotcha.
if it really hurts you, why do you want to live that way? It's much better to, and I've said this to you, Steve, to wake up a little bit, to understand what is going on, because it's much more than what we're just discussing, which I've told you, many times, that we can go deeper into this situation. Once you know about it, then you know how to handle the situation better. It's really simple in a way. It's not always easy for me to express it, but it isn't that difficult. Well, it's difficult because we make it difficult. But just look at it. We're planning our own movie. We're doing our own movie, how we want to make our movie. We're the director.
All right, you ready for another one?
Yes.
Lena from Chicago. Since childhood, I've spoken phrases and languages I never learned. My parents always thought it was strange. Could this be from a past life?
Yes, and I think a lot of people will do that. They'll suddenly come out. When they go into hypnosis, they'll speak a completely different language. I've actually done that. It wasn't under hypnosis, but it happened to me, and I had no idea what had happened to me. This was many, many years ago. I'm going on for 20 minutes talking, which I didn't know. But people do that, and they actually can speak other languages, because that shows you the memory still has to be there. How am I drawing things from other lifetimes? The memory is still there.
Now, can you strengthen that ability?
Well, of course, because most of the time that you bring in something into this lifetime is because you were meant to bring it into this lifetime. You chose to. So, I thought not that long ago, Aldo wanted to teach me Spanish, and I'm thinking, well, how am I often going to use Spanish? I'm getting older. But no, you don't lose that. Maybe I did know Spanish or French. Well, I'm sure I knew French, of course.
We've only seen some of your artwork here in the studio, but if you ever have a chance to see the other things that Sally has done from the very beginning, from the Egyptian days or from royalty days and things like that, you would have no doubt in your mind that there have been past lives, especially for Sally.
I should bring some in, because Aldo actually used to go into his room when I'd finished a sketch and I'd drawn things in detail. He would go into his room and be there for a day and actually interpret exactly what I had done. I mean, even for me, it was hard for me to understand it, but the more time that goes by in this lifetime, I see that my message is for other people to I'm giving these messages for other people, and for me to learn more too, because there is so much that goes on that we don't know. So more people that open up, we begin to see more in this lifetime. The world is changing, and many, many more people are opening up, even to the reincarnation. People did not believe. Many people, I think you got burned at the stake if you talked about things like this. Today, no, they want to hear more. So we're changing. The world is changing.
Do you think part of this is disclosure that there's more extraterrestrial happenings happening here?
I believe very much so, yes, absolutely, Dawn, because they're here to help us. They don't interfere up to a point, but if they see they have to, many people are asking for their help, so they can, basically. They don't want us to go into destruction mode here at all. I mean, yeah, there are good and bad, but the majority are good aliens.
It'll be interesting to see how Spielberg handled
disclosure
in the new movie coming out in June. See it in IMAX.
Beings of Light. All right, here's a funny one, Sally. Michael from Denver, Colorado. I went to Europe for the first time and knew my way around a small town instinctively. How is that possible?
Well, that brings into what we're discussing. We now know that it is possible, we do. We go into places. You were just telling me about France.
Right.
And you know that you've been there before, but you can't visualize from another lifetime. You're thinking to yourself, well, why? How do I know? I've never been here. So where is that memory coming from?
It's like, how do you know? Even different decor. The hotel I stayed at was the first house I grew up with, which means my mother must have had been there because she decorated that first house. It was everything from the velvet wallpaper to the colors.
Absolutely. It was a red velvet.
Yes.
Yes, I see it completely. As you were saying, I'm getting goosebumps myself.
But which means I remember it because I grew up in a house like that.
Yes,
but my mother must
someone
have
had the memory
had
for
the
you
memory to do it again.
Absolutely. And it's like a velvet. I see that. As you're saying that, I see that. Maybe a lot of people in the years ago used to use that, but it had a certain memory when I saw that. I actually had a pattern on a dress, and I still remember it as a child. My mother bought me this dress, and I still see that because I had such a memory when she put that on me from another lifetime. And I've seen movies from that particular lifetime, and sure, they had that pattern.
But do you think it's the vision that she can see it? Or is the message something else?
Well, in order to wake up her consciousness, so to speak, you'll see it, because then it's sparking something in you to go deeper into that. I mean, if you just saw it, oh, I feel like I've seen that before, but you went deeper because you could actually see it and feel it. Because it's your mother, I believe it definitely was your mother, decorated the same as what she remembered from a previous life. But if you were in that lifetime, which I definitely believe you were, you're going to have the same memory. But she's brought it to life, so to speak, in this lifetime.
And it gives you this sense of familiarity, of comfort, even though there's be no reason to be in a foreign country to feel comfortable.
Exactly,
if you've never been.
100%, Dawn. It's something you feel. And if you felt it, viewers that are listening and they felt it, they can say, yeah, I know what they're talking about. Because it is a feeling. It's a smell, it's a feeling, it's a look.
And that just reminded me of a very poignant period in my life. When I was 16, I was working in a summer camp in Massachusetts, and on my day off, without a map, I hitchhiked to another town in Massachusetts to go to a play by Arthur Miller and in a repertory company, and hitched my way back, and I had no problem finding my way around. Like I've been there.
Perfect example, exactly, a perfect example. I worked in Blue Ridge Mountains many years ago, and I know I'd never been there before in this lifetime. And I saw, now I know what I was doing, but that was an astral projection, I think maybe, but I saw the place that I went to see the following day. It could have been a previous life, or I was projecting myself, but I was saying to my friend in the car, I'd never been to the Blue Ridge Mountains. I know where that is, I know where that is, and I knew what was going to come up next in the car. So we all have had these deja vus. It is also, it's a crossover. It's something like we plan it so you feel part of the conversation, kind of know even what's going to be said next.
Because what would have possessed me to do something like that if I hadn't been familiar with.
So that's why it's so open up. It's so good to open up on shows like I do, and there are many, to make people aware. They say, "Oh, now I know why I think there's always a reason though why you repeat it. So whatever the reason that you went there was a reason for you to see that, not just to make you believe in reincarnation. There's a reason why you've chosen that particular place. So it's best, I believe, now to explore what you've seen."
Yeah, and I think it goes back to being in the entertainment field, because what would make a 16-year-old kid on his only day off from a summer job to go see a play?
Right, right. No, well, there you go too. I know that I was in the theater at one point, because I'm not as emotional as you are, and I've seen that happens. And I used to go to plays in London because I lived right in the center of London, and when that curtain call came down, I used to cry. It's like, oh, don't stop. Yeah, me. Don't stop. Yeah, well, we switch roles there a little bit. Yeah.
All right. How does karma carry forward between lives?
Well, similar to what we were actually saying before on the start of the program, because we will continue to correct that karma, so we'll bring it forward whenever the situation arises. If we don't remember our last lives, unless we go under hypnosis, we'll know why we're doing something in this life that is so obvious. Why are we doing it? And yet we continue doing it. So we bring it forward to eventually end that particular cycle in our life.
Are repeating life challenges tied to soul lessons?
Yes, 100%. That's kind of all to do with, really, it fits in with what we were saying. It's all lessons. Life is a learning experience. People say that this is a school. It is. It's a very difficult school, but I believe that we're advanced here, all of us that come here, to be taking this challenge to be here on Earth. It's not easy. There are other planets that I hear of that are much more simple. They have more technology maybe, but we're catching up with that. We have really made a mess here,
So we're really here just as a lesson.
Yes.
Of energies, of bettering the planet maybe.
Yeah, and the way to really appreciate what we really have is to begin to open up. It's a whole different way of living, as you know, Dawn. We still make our mistakes and we still repeat the same things. But when you do it, and there's a reason and a purpose, it kind of gives you more drive to straighten it out the right way. Because you're aware. You may not be aware of the last situation of that, but you can be aware if you're doing the same thing, with someone else or the same person, you keep repeating it. Then figure it out. Figure it out. Good or bad, you need to figure it out.
But is this about ourselves as opposed to others? I mean, if you can't figure you out, how in the world can you figure anything else out?
Okay, so that's the key. You need to figure yourself out, because then you'll know why you keep doing this. It all starts within us. Everyone, not me, you, everybody sitting here. It starts with us, because if you don't make that leap in faith to understand that there's more to this, you're not even going to bother to figure it out. It's a leap. You know what? I have to do this my way. I am not happy. And no matter what it takes, you need to do it to make that leap. It may not seem right, but eventually, and many people say, you know, I didn't feel that good about when I did that. Oh my goodness, look what's happened now, right? That happens many times.
So what you're saying is once we do figure that out, that's a giant leap towards the next dimension.
It's a leap in our lifetime even here, Steve, because if someone is trapped in whatever the situation, doesn't matter what it is, but if you feel that urge to correct it or to do whatever you need to do, first of all, you're lowering your vibrational energy. If you're in any situation, no matter what it is, if you're not feeling comfortable. So understand that there is another vibrational energy that you can come from. So what you're going through, you don't have to go through. There is a way out. So that's a beginning. That's a beginning, okay? But just knowing that, it helps. Because people reach what we call a rock bottom. They say there's no way out of this. And suddenly, miraculously, and I believe in the 12 steps of recovery, because the last one is a spiritual awakening. They think there is no end to what they're doing. And unfortunately, some people do end it there. There's so much more to understand.
Sure, it's what you do at the rock bottom.
There's no way out, but you know what? Help me.
Yeah.
And then miraculously, many people, not everyone, but they realize that there's something greater than themselves that can help them out.
Right.
It's so important.
Very true.
Thank you.
Yes, when you hit that rock bottom.
They ask for help, no matter what that help is. It could be, I'm using the 12 steps because I believe they do talk about this, but someone that's laying on the floor drunk gets hold of a lamppost and they stand up. It's just showing you that there is another way to handle this situation. You know, there's a higher power. Whatever your higher power is, if it's helping you, then you're on the road to recovery.
Do you think everyone, has had a past life?
I think, yes, but not necessarily here. I think there are new souls that come in.
Brand new souls?
But there's a majority of us, though, that have been coming in and in and in. But when we say that, they could be, we are from other planets too. But they're all old souls that have come in on Earth. But we're a comparatively new planet. So there are other planets that are much older than ourselves. But there's new souls coming in, complete. To choose here as their first soul, it's not easy to, but the thing is, it's not easy to get into Earth, and many people will tell you this. They volunteer, really.
They're dying to get in.
It's
Maybe
full.
there's no reality TV on the other planets. So maybe there's no reality TV on the other planets.
There's much more on the, well, maybe not reality, but they have higher tech. Where do you think they're getting all this technology from? They're getting it from other planets. It's reverse type. You know, they get something, they call it reverse technology, and then they figure it out, and suddenly we've got an iPhone, we've got a phone, we've got all these things that we never had 40, 50 years ago. That's pretty fast to get that, right?
Yeah.
This technology.
What about people that have no confidence in themselves whatsoever? Is that a learning lesson?
Yeah, and it's sad because they've come in wanting to, I believe, actually, as you said that, it suddenly made me think to myself, well, that is their lesson to teach themselves, to get the confidence. So they're put in situations where they may be brought to feel that confidence out a little bit and say, you know what, I didn't know I could do that. But you know what? When you're really down, you do some things that you think you never could do. I know what I've done in my life. I look back now, I say, how in the world did I do that?
But if a person doesn't figure that out, then they're destined to come back and try and relearn the lesson.
Yes, it may be in a different situation, but it may be self-confidence. by that, if you experience it here, it may be still something carried on into the next life, but there's still a part of you that brought that out in a lifetime, so you're maybe more likely to do it quicker than somebody else that hadn't done it in this particular or another lifetime.
Well, the other 8 simultaneous lives that you produce, are they all learning the same lesson?
Yeah, Alda told me about this, and not too many people understand that, including myself. It's hard to imagine that you're somewhere else doing something in a different body, and maybe not the same sex, but it happens, and it is happening. It's quicker way of learning. That's what he used to tell me. By coming in and you split yourself up in many different places, you're learning. There's no time, but you have a quicker way of learning, because if you think about it, if you're somewhere else and you're learning something here, this is very difficult, even for me to explain it, because it's hard for my mind to understand that I am definitely somewhere else. I know that. We all are. So in this particular lifetime, we merge sometimes into each other. And a good explanation of that is actually a personality disorder, when people are suddenly somebody else in this lifetime. There were movies, I'm not breaking a confidence that people don't know, the Three Faces of Eve and things like that. They had split personalities.
Don't look at me. If you see a karmic occurrence that has happened, that you want to break, say, a generational cycle.
Right.
Can you break it in this lifetime?
It's up to us, yes, if we've chosen that as a learning experience, and probably we have, because if you're in a cycle, many people say, oh, at last we've broken the cycle. Many people in that generation and the previous one had that. We come in to change that. Now, not everyone, because it still can pass over into the next lifetime. But yes, of course we can. And that's often said, I broke the cycle. Or let's use an education for whatever we want to. People suddenly start going to have a higher education. It doesn't necessarily have to be college, but they broke the cycle of where they were living.
And what if it includes someone else?
At that particular time in your life, yes, when you're helping, whilst we help ourselves, Dawn, we're still helping the people around us. They may not understand that, and we may not understand that, but we're all together in this mess. So if you do a good deed, and that you're doing it for yourself, but if you do a good deed, that other person feels that good deed. What they do with it is up to them, and that's a very good example. Because if you see someone, let's say, and I don't like to use particular personalities, but someone on the streets, now they can either help themselves and go and get food, or that person can go out and take whatever drug they may want to have. But the fact is, you've done it. So who are you really doing that for? If you think about it, you're making yourself feel better, that you're trying to help somebody else. But that person may not be ready. That person may be ready. It's all up to us as an individual. That's a good example they just gave me.
Interesting. Okay. Thomas from Boston. I've always felt like I died young in another life. I have this urgency to accomplish everything now. Is that common?
Well, it's common, but we don't always recognize it. He recognized that. So the urgency, he has a whole lifetime, but he recognizes there's an urgency that he wants to fulfill that for himself.
So how can Thomas balance urgency and then a feeling of peace?
By understanding this, because that will bring balance. Everything, most of what we have that is things that keep going wrong is usually we're out of balance. Because we're energy beings, and we like I'm Libra, so that's the scales. But anything unbalanced we're going to recognize it, but that doesn't mean to say we can't balance it. So that's a typical.
So even though his life might have been short, before,
right?
Is there anything to suggest that might repeat itself?
No, not necessarily. He might have a longer life here. He might say, "Well, I couldn't do it," because we look at it. Remember, we're looking at it from a different point of view when we transition. We're looking and observing ourselves. So he may want to go back to that situation, but he can say, you know what, at time, we manufacture time. I need a longer lifetime in order to get that corrected. So that's the answer to that.
What about living a life and making adjustments? You're giving a deck of cards, you play the cards, you make different moves as the game goes on, and it changes your persona, your perspective, to learn, to have vision, to trust yourself, to do things
Well,
that you have
that's
to do.
really what this, if you think about it, that was a great way of explaining what we're doing. But not everybody wants to do that. They may continue that, you know what?
Then they keep learning.
They keep learning.
What if you
until they
can
don't-
see it from someone else and they can't see it themselves?
Well, you can only help them, Freddie. And by doing that, sometimes people don't like that. They just want to be left
They don't
alone.
like it at all.
No. So you know what I have learned? As much as I'm talking about this too, if someone doesn't want to hear my story, I respect that, absolutely, because that's where they're coming from. But there is somebody over there that needs what I need to hear from them. I don't need to hear from someone that says, go away from me, I don't want to hear that. Fine, that's okay.
Gotcha.
But I didn't feel that way in the beginning. I've learned to understand that. Not everybody is ready.
All right. Do all souls reincarnate, or do some remain in spirit?
I think the percentage of what I've heard, and when people have been under hypnosis and talked about it too, and they get messages, I think the percentage is very high that we do come back. I'm sure that when people have finished, I believe you don't have to come back. That's our choice. But if you're understanding this, really, when you think about this experience that we have here, and you're ahead of the game, so to speak, because it is a game, how you can really enjoy this, because souls don't get the feeling of eating food. They know what this is what Aldo used to tell me. They can see you eating, but if they've never reincarnated, they can't get that feeling that we have. So that's a lot of reasons why they come in. That's how apparently it all started anyway. They wanted to experience.
So you just said something very interesting, that the free will continues after we've transitioned.
Well, the free will, because we're looking at a different perspective, so we probably don't need the same type of free will as we have. We can come back anytime we want. That's there's no time, so it's all happening at which it is here, and that's important. The more I tell myself that, actually, and it's repetitive for me, because I begin to understand the concept of no time. We're not told that. We know, we look at our clock, and I'm very punctual, you know that, with things, but it can drive you crazy.
Can two people remember the same shared lifetime?
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes they actually, if we're talking about what happens before you come in, they might say, well, at this point in our life, I think it's time to open up a little bit. Let's look into this more on Earth, what we did in our other lifetime, because you're remembering it before you come in. We're actually a good example here at the studio. We have definitely been in, I'm going to say one or two for sure, right? We feel it. I've done the same drawing that your mother has in her house. I keep wanting to bring it in. I said, I noticed that picture. I drew it.
But like Aldo and you,
That's right.
didn't reincarnate at the same time. You had to find each other. He was in Peru, you were in England. Somehow you both ended up in Florida in celebration,
That's
right? At
correct.
different stages in life.
Exactly. But he knew where I was, because we're energy, and sometimes you can pick out where someone is. He was very, very advanced. I was not.
But he came to find
He
your
came to
soul.
find
He
me,
knew
yeah,
you
yeah.
were where you were.
100%. And
But now you're doing his work.
well, he always told me I would. You see, he never told me who he was until I was ready to even understand any of this. But he always, his last words, and I've said this many times on my show, please be my mouthpiece. And that's what and I don't even as he was telling me these things, I never really even realized the significance till maybe even after I've done something. I go, you know what, Aldo told me to do that. Because it was a blessing that I actually gave, a gift I gave myself to have him here, to open
You
up
learned
to me.
something.
Yeah,
You also have the gift of Aldo continuing to.
but we do, and you see that too, yes. Absolutely. He's around. He tells me the movies to pick out and what to watch on Gaia for sure. Brought me here. He wouldn't give up with that, right? I think we're coming to the end of the show. That went by really fast.
No good
time.
questions.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you to our viewers. Please tune in next week and we can continue this, or we can do something else. We can talk about the aliens because they are coming. Thank you for watching my show. And here's my book. You can read my true story in there and my art on clothing. Just go into artbysallybarnard.com. I got that right. I must be coming out of my trance.
Check it out.
Check it out. I'm here. And any questions, and I say this often on my show, I've got 2 seconds, I think 5 seconds, is that I'm here. So if you read my book, and you can just download it as an ebook, and if there's something that you're stuck on, I'll say, what happened there? I'm here to call in and ask, so you can talk to the author. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you to my studio audience, Freddie, Dawn, and Steve.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.